Hi everyone, I'm Juliana, and this time I have my Uncle Brad, my sensei, the guy who started it all behind Join Jules, with me today. We're doing this new thing. It's the old and the new. It's not because he's older than me, it's because he knows the classic cocktails, and I'm doing all the newer renditions of the classic cocktails. But you have a background in bartending as well. Your dad was a bartender, is that right?
Yeah, my dad was a bartender, so I grew up in bars, which, as a parent is not a great parenting move. But, hey, it was the 80s, it was the 70s. I got really good at Pac-Man. I learned a little bit about the bar business watching my dad, became fascinated with bar culture. And subsequently, I love a good cocktail.
You are the reason behind all of this, which is pretty cool, and I want people to know who you are. So, Brad Sutton here with me today. We're going to do an Irish coffee. What I think is fun, I'm here in San Diego, you're in Minnesota. I'm going to do an iced Irish coffee, and you're going to do the classic Irish coffee.
So the Irish coffee, it's funny because I thought classic cocktails. Are there any Irish classic cocktails? Well, there's the Irish coffee, and then, does 1942 constitute a year that you could deem something classic? And I say, yeah, I think it is. So the Irish coffee, needless to say, started in Ireland, and it's actually started at the Foynes Airport, and there was a chef there. Believe it or not, this airport had a chef by the name of Joe Sheridan. And Foynes was a popular stop between Europe and North America. They'd stop at Foynes, gas up,
Mm-hmm.
and make the jump over the Atlantic. Well, one winter night, it was blustery. The plane had to turn around. Joe got wind that the plane was coming back, and so he created this concoction of coffee and whiskey and cream and sugar,
Yeah.
and the passengers loved it. And the reason why he jumped into action, by the way, is there's like a lot of famous people who are on the plane, and they knew they needed to put on a show. So he makes this Irish coffee, and he didn't have a name for it yet. And the passengers loved it. One person yelled out, "Hey, my God, this is great. Is this Brazilian coffee?" And
Oh,
he said, "No, it's Irish coffee."
of
And
course.
there was the birth of the name, the Irish coffee. Then now in the 50s, so just a decade later, there's this guy from the San Francisco Chronicle who is over in Ireland and
Mm-hmm.
has one of these coffees. And he's like, my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever had. So he learns how to make the recipe, comes back to San Francisco, goes to the Buena Vista,
Mm-hmm.
teaches the bartender there how to make an Irish coffee. And so now, for those of you who are into bar culture, you know that the Buena Vista in San Francisco, which has this amazing view of the Golden Gate Bridge and
Uh-huh.
Fisherman's Wharf, hence the name Buena Vista,
Yep.
is famous for their Irish coffees. They make 2,000 Irish coffees a day. But
Wow.
I am going to teach you how to make the Irish coffee from Ireland because I tried both and I love the Buena Vista. They're great. They are really great. And I will drink the heck out of some Irish
Huh?
coffees at the Buena Vista. But I love this Irish coffee the way it was originally made. I'm just the kind of guy that likes a classic drink made the right way. But the thing about Irish whiskey is use a blended Irish whiskey when you're making a cocktail. There's like single malts and single grains and single pots, and all of that stuff is made with a very like it's made with care, and it's made
Mm-hmm.
to be enjoyed by on its own. Blended Irish whiskey, also great, can be enjoyed on its own. But if you're going to mix a cocktail, only you are going to know that you used a single malt or a
Right.
single pot. So, all right, and a half of Irish whiskey. Pour that into the glass. And then I'm going to dump in my sugar because what I want to do next is add the coffee. Now, the thing about coffee is you don't want to measure out 4 ounces of coffee because 4 ounces of coffee in a jigger is going to burn your little
Yes.
digits. And so
Yes.
I pre-measured with water what 4 ounces and an ounce and a half of Irish whiskey looks like in my glass. So I
Okay.
can pour this in and know that I just hit 4 ounces. So we've got the sugar in there, we've
Yep.
got the whiskey in there, and we've got the coffee in there. Now I'm going to take my spoon, any old spoon will do, and I'm just going to make sure that the sugar is melted, and that's where the hot coffee comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Just an ounce here, ounce and a half of cream. That's probably a little more than an ounce and a half. I like to be about a finger width. And I pre-whipped this. If you're going to go after good ingredients, so I talk a little bit about using blended Irish whiskey, which again, for the Irish whiskey lovers out there, it doesn't mean it's a bad whiskey. I'm using cream from a farm up the road, and it's heavy cream. It's organic, and it really makes a difference in the flavor of the coffee. So there, I would go top shelf if you're looking for flavor. You need to sip the drink through the cream. So don't go use that ready whip stuff out of a can and again, the reason why you see that in restaurants is it's quick and it's easy. So, you're making it at home. And so you do it the right way the first time, at least. If you want to goon it up with a bunch of whiskey and then goon it up with a bunch of whipped cream, throw some cherries on it and sprinkles, I don't care. Just make it right the first way. Let's give it a whip. Yeah,
Perfect.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now that leads me to mine. This would be cocktail number 2. I'm making an iced coffee. So I'm using my hands because I'm drinking it, but I'm gonna add ice to my coffee glass. And then I'm just gonna add my whiskey right in there along with my coffee. Let's do 1.5 ounces. So I'm gonna put that right into my glass. I'm then gonna fill her up with my coffee. So I'm going to fill it that high, leaving room, because my favorite part is I'm going to be adding heavy cream, a bit of Bailey's. Going to add a little bit of brown sugar. So I do a little bit of cinnamon, a little drop of vanilla, just enough to get some flavor in there. And then I have my, like you do, I have my whisker that I use for my coffee. So I'm just going to whisk this together. I'm just going to add it, just the froth top, to my iced coffee. And one of my favorite things, because I frothed it, is, and let me see if you can see, it's slowly going down. Like you can just see
so cool.
all that cream go down. And that's one of my favorite parts too, is just having it all just sink. And then I'm going to top mine with just a little bit of fresh cinnamon because, we can. And then I have a little fresh cinnamon stick that I'm just gonna put on top, and there you have an iced Irish coffee.
That is gorgeous. I love the garnish on top. That's nice. I just have liquid and cream. And look, I appreciate the fact that you can take the classic base of a cocktail that's made the right way and turn it into something else, because at the end of the day, that's how we got to where we are with some of these cocktails. And, we take the base and we riff on that and create other things.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just really fun, but I do think it's really important for everyone to know what that base is.
Yeah. So everything starts somewhere, right? And, the classic, so here's the interesting thing about cocktails, right? So liquor back then versus liquor today didn't taste as good, right? Now, there's recipes that have been made the same way forever, but technology was limited, and, really prohibition kind of screwed a lot of things up, especially Irish whiskey, believe it or not. So I was telling you earlier that Irish whiskey is actually the father or mother of all whiskeys. And it was invented in Ireland by monks, like sometime around the 6th century. And the other thing too is like they're trying to find elixirs, and there's always been the search for like longevity and life.
Right.
And so anyways, these monks are running around Europe and they figure out how to distill perfumes. Well, they come back to Ireland and they change the distillation process, and they start distilling whiskey out of grains. And so about the 16th century, Irish whiskey became really popular. Why? Ships. They could put it on ships. They could move it around. Suddenly Irish whiskey's a thing. Settlers moved to the United States in the 1700s. they start going down the different river valleys and get pushed out of the East Coast because of taxes and who knows what else. And they settle into like Kentucky and Tennessee, and they bring their whiskey making craft with them. And so really Ireland started this whole thing. It wasn't it. What's interesting is the end of the 1800s, like the 1890s, right? Beginning of the 1900s. And there was like 88 distilleries that made Irish whiskey in Ireland. And when the century turned, the world went to war, and coal and barley couldn't get it anymore, couldn't make whiskey with it. Ireland went to war with England. So now Irish whiskey is contraband. They can't do anything, you know, obviously in the UK with it. And then Prohibition kicks in, and now they've lost their biggest export market. And so Irish whiskey's really having a bad run. And then this guy named Al Capone comes along, and he starts making bootleg whiskey, and it's bad. And he's calling it Irish whiskey. So suddenly they like got this bad name and this brand image. So these distilleries start shutting down left and right. And what you're left with is 5 distilleries in the mid 1950s. And then a French company comes along, Pernod, buys these distilleries in the 80s, goes to market and pushes hard on Jameson, which is why Jameson's all over the place. And then when you do make an Irish coffee, one thing to keep in mind, and I saw the rim on your glass is smaller, but when you get these like super tanker size coffee mugs, one, you really got to scale it up, but to get the right kind of like look and feel and taste on that, you got to put a lot of cream in there. And
it's true. Make the first, to your point, make the first one right, and then make it how you like it. Because at the end of the day, you're not drinking it. I'm not drinking it. The person who's making it is drinking it. You know, so that's just make it how you like it.
That's right. Make it how you like it, but do it the right way first.
Exactly.
Well, cool, Jules. Thanks for letting me hang out with you and your peeps, and hopefully this was beneficial for them and educational. I don't just want to teach you how to make a drink. I want to give you a story with that drink. So hopefully you got a story there to tell next time you make an Irish coffee.
And what's the best way to find you if people have questions or if they want to follow you or?
Yeah, I've got an Instagram account. It's Cigars and Vino is the handle.
All right, well, if you have any classic questions, you know who to go to. You go to Brad. That's it for this week. We're gonna be here a month from now.
I'm so excited. Thank you for introducing me to the internet and social media.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. I'm the younger generation. All right.
I could be hip.
Yeah, you're already hip. All right. Cheers, Brad.